Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a palette redesign video because quite honestly I cannot help myself. I look at these launches and I'm like, I kind of want to redesign this and I kind of really want to do a video on it, and it just ends up happening. So I'm going to be doing a redesign of the Beauty Bakerie Proof is in the Pudding Eyeshadow palette. This is a product that I did show you guys, I think it was several weeks ago in one of my Will I Buy It videos, and I mentioned how I just felt like there were a lot of missed opportunities with this. I felt like this was a lackluster palette and I was really interested, I'm not sure if I mentioned it in that video, but I was really interested in doing a redesign, which is what I ended up doing with Photoshop late one night, and I was just really inspired and I wanted to just do a redesign. So this is going to be that video. As usual, I am trying to keep the Beauty Bakerie customer in mind. I am aware that Beauty Bakerie is an indie brand and they do have some pretty interesting ideas and concepts, and their entire theme is very baking oriented. So it's a brand that I really do like the looks of. I feel like they're really interesting. They come up with some creative things, but this particular palette, I'm gonna put it on the screen right here, I just felt like it was just a plethora of missed opportunities, and that's why I want to do this video. Like I said, as usual, I do want to do a little bit of a disclaimer. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to shame this brand. I'm not trying to bash them. I'm just giving you guys my alternate opinion. I'm giving you guys my idea, my views, my redesign, and I'm not trying to say that I'm better than the brand or that this original palette is a subpar. I just am trying to show you guys my redesign. And if you don't like it, then go away. But anyway, let's just get into this video. This is the original palette, and then this is my redesign. And right away, I'm pretty sure that you can see a few key differences. Because the palette was originally pudding based, and a lot of the shades were supposed to be pudding oriented, if you will, I realized that this is supposed to be a little bit of a neutral palette. But I was looking at the packaging and I was looking at the shade names and I was like, there is a lot of opportunity for this palette to be a really interesting kind of unique color story of several browns, maybe a few golds, but at the same time several yellows, because that would be so much fun, so interesting. We don't see yellows that often. We have been seeing them a little bit more recently, but I have yet to see a palette that has a yellow color story yet, and I felt like this would have been a really cool opportunity to introduce one. So I'm just going to go through each and every single color in this palette. I have not completely changed the palette. Some of the original shades are still left in the palette, but I'm just going to take you through each and every single one and tell you how I think it fits into this new mock-up that I've created. Now, the first shade I want to mention is Rice Pudding. Now, Rice Pudding is a little bit of a vanilla color. It is a little bit of a matte. So I figured that there was really no reason to change it. Would I include this color if I was designing this palette myself, if I was the sole creator of this palette? No, because I think that light bone-colored shadows are kind of boring, but I felt like it fit with this palette. There's no really good reason to take it out, especially since the name of the shade was Rice Pudding, so it does kind of fit. But moving on from that, I have Chia Pudding. Now, Chia Pudding was a little bit of me taking some artistic license, because I know that I mentioned that I wanted, or have I mentioned this, I'm not sure, but I did want to make sure that the names of the shades fit the actual shades. But then Chia Pudding, if you look at Chia Pudding, and I did look at it on Google Images, if you look at Chia Pudding, it's just white. It's just white with little specks of just dark color in there, and it's really not that fun or interesting to put that into a shadow, if you know what I mean, unless you're doing a light champagne color, and there already is one which I'm going to mention later in this video. But I decided to basically play with the yellow theme of the palette, if you will, and just throw in a really vibrant yellow gold. Okay, this has a little bit of gold in it, but it's mostly yellow. It's this golden yellow, and I see this as being a little bit of a really just kind of, I will say, kind of softer metallic finish. Not very vibrant, but still quite metallic. Then next to that, I have Bread Pudding. Now, Bread Pudding, It's bread pudding. Nothing to see here, really. I just decided to keep the original shade the way it was. I felt like it worked. It worked with the color. It worked with the theme, and I just saw no reason to change it. Particularly since the palette itself seems to be like very everyday, going into night themed. It doesn't seem to be quite wild, but I did want to make this a little bit more unique, which is why I am making these alterations. But I did want to keep the everyday theme of this palette alive, which is why I did want to just leave in the bread pudding color. Next to that, I have the color called Butterscotched. Now, Butterscotched was a very confusing shade for me when I looked at the original palette, because if you look at Butterscotched, it's a light, slightly metallic, highlightery, champagne-y color. Quite boring. What I did is I essentially transformed it into my version of a butterscotch, which is like this slightly like mustardy, like yellow color. It's not a bright, vivid yellow, because I feel like we are already going to be seeing that in my mock-up. I wanted to create something that was a little bit dustier, a little bit like mustardier. That's just a little bit different. So what I did is I just made it a little bit more like mustardy tone. So it's like a yellow, it's a pretty bright yellow. I feel like this would be beautiful all over the lid or in the crease. And it would work for a variety of different skin tones, a variety of different people. I see all these colors as being very pigmented and like just really vibrant and true to color, true to pan. So yes. Then moving on, I have Spiced Caramel. Spiced Caramel is, again, a very light gold, metallic, but it worked. You know, it worked with the palette, it worked with the aesthetic. I saw no reason to really change it, so I just left it alone. Then next to that, I have the color Mango Pudding. Now, Mango Pudding is something that I wrestled with because I felt like in the original palette, that color did not look like a mango. In my opinion, mangoes are typically more of a golden tone. They're brighter than this, and I was like, okay, do I want to add in like another golden yellow into this palette? No. So what I did do is I just took the original color that it was before and I just upped the saturation a bit. I added a little bit of red into it. I just made it a little bit more of an intense, vibrant color, because honestly, if you're going to do like an orangey color, might as well just go the full road. Take the go all in, go all in. Might as well go all in if you're going to do like an orangey color, because otherwise it's kind of pointless. Moving on, I have Nana Pudding. Now, Nana Pudding is something that I just felt like was another missed opportunity. For some reason, I just really wanted to have this color be not like a light, weird, yellowish color. I wanted it to be like a really unique yellow. We see a lot of golden yellows. We see a lot of like lemon yellows. But what we don't see is like this really like interesting kind of highlighter-y but not really type of yellow. This is so light and so yellow in tonality. It's really interesting to me, and I've never seen this in a palette before, and I wanted to create it. So that's why we're doing that with this little redesign. That's the color that I created, so that is my version of Nana Pudding. Then, moving on, we have Warm Cocoa. Now, Warm Cocoa, again, a color that fits with the palette. It fits with the palette. The color itself is Warm Cocoa. That's the color that I expect Warm Cocoa to be. In fact, that my Warm Cocoa tends to be a little bit darker because I end up adding more cocoa powder than I actually need, which is how I like it. But anyway, I beg to differ. This is a color that I think really works with the palette, which is why I'm leaving it in. The color next to that is a color that I decided to change. It is Almond Jelly. Now, here's my thing with Almond Jelly. We all know that the skin of almonds is typically quite brown, you know? It's quite brown, quite dark, but the meat of the almond is just a very light, kind of whitish color. Almond Jelly is very light in tone. It is quite light. It's not very dark. So that kind of confused me when I looked at this color, because I was like, why is this color called Almond Jelly and why is it brown? Like, why is it like this metallic brown? So then I thought about it and I was like, okay, what can I do? And I realized, well, here's a thought. I can just easily just take this color, lighten it extremely, so it's almost a white, but not quite. it's kind of rhyming right now, and just make it into like a highlighter color. Like make it into a highlighter color that's not quite a champagne, but yet not quite a brown, kind of like not quite a taupe, very much warmer than that, but a color that would work brilliantly for a highlight on several skin tones. So I kind of really like that color, and as a whole, I really do like how this mock-up turned out. I was trying to like make this really well thought out. I was trying to make sure that this mock-up was really a representative of the brand and the concept in general, as well as the customer base of Beauty Bakerie. I feel like Beauty Bakerie, being an indie brand, has a little bit more license to do something creative, which they are doing, but at the same time, I felt like this palette felt quite lackluster, which is not a good thing, and that's why I wanted to reconstruct it and change it a little bit, add some pops of yellow, and just make it into my version of an everyday transition into night palette, but still a palette that you might not already own in your makeup collection. So yes, that is my proof is in the pudding palette redesign. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it interesting. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I would love to know your opinions, by the way, of what you guys thought of this redesign. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And why? Let me know in the comments below. I will try and get back to you, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye, guys.